a Playlyst original.
Welcome to the Pilot Podcast,
where we review the pilot episodes of TV shows to answer your question, should I watch this?
My name is BJ.
And my name is Mitu.
And this week, we're watching Age of Attraction on Netflix, Scarpetta on Prime Video, Vladimir on Netflix, and Imperfect Women on Apple TV.
So stay tuned to the end to find out how far BJ would go for friendship.
Okay, I'll figure out the stakes and let you know. In the meantime, can you tell us about the latest dating show?
You're talking about Age of Attraction on Netflix. Singles are searching for their soulmates while answering the question, is love truly ageless? How? Well, they must rely on chemistry and compatibility and cannot ask the question, how old are you? And they also cannot apply logic or the gift of sight to guide them.
They can't apply logic?
BJ, that lady said, do you remember the movie Legends of the Fall? To like a 28-year-old. And he was like, yeah, sure. I love that movie. That other woman in conversation with that young man said, we'll do this like Madonna in the movies. And he said, Madonna acts? So we are pretending we're not applying logic. We're not looking at people and their gray hairs or their youthful faces.
I think everyone is leaning into the idea that age doesn't matter. And so let me just focus on who they are, because they could be any number. Could I guess that number within a 5-year range? Maybe, but they could be any number, and that's not what matters.
Even tighter, my friend called me and said, I guessed everyone's age within a year or two. And when I watched the show, I said, she's exactly right. You can tell maybe within the months that some of these people were born, but that's fine. I feel like this show mostly broke out into two camps. It was people who seemed, or maybe performed this, I don't know, could be genuine, to truly not know how old the person is that is in front of them. And then there was a camp of people that very clearly were seeking people in a different age range. Like,
yes,
we have Vanelle and Libby who say they want to date older men. And lo and behold, that's exactly who they attract. And these older men, sometimes the stars align. And then these older men that they have both matched with, Jorge, Justin for Vanelle, and Andrew for Libby, all basically express the sentiment, I want a younger woman. I want someone fun in life. And that is how they define fun for them. They want someone young and fresh.
And they're guessing, maybe this is a youngin'.
Maybe this blonde Swiftie with this little baby face is younger than my 40 years of age.
Yeah. I will say, I think the people who I'm not sure how much they're leaning into it or not are those with children in their 20s or late teens. I think some of them are just hoping that their romantic partner is older than their children.
When Teresa and John, when she said, I hope he's not too young, my oldest daughter is 29, I was like, ma'am, you know you're looking at a 29-year-old. You know you're looking at someone actually under the age of 29. You know you're looking at a young man.
But is that what matters me to you?
When they were talking about age, she said, oh my God, you're going to die when you find out how old I am. And I just thought, no, he's going to continue to live and breathe.
And they'll be able to work through it.
There was also a lot of weird parent stuff, meaning not just the stakes of the parents who are on this show. And when you get matched up, you introduce these people to your loved ones. In theory, all of these parents would be introducing them to their kids. But also, there were multiple people who compared the people on the show with their parents or other relatives. And I thought that was odd. Like when Tristan said Kim Zolciak was like a sexual awakening for him and that his mom was 19 when she had him. And so if you're not as hot as my mom, I'm not going to marry you. I thought, call the police.
And I think it's also Aaron, who Tristan was talking to, who said Tristan reminds her of her nephew. which that's a weird statement to throw out there.
He was scaring her, though. I wrote in my notes, Aaron and I are both scared of Tristan right now. And I don't know what that is referring to in the notes, but I just trust that this man was scary times. But it is weird that she was like, he's a player like my nephew. What are you talking about?
Tristan openly says he has mommy issues, so I think that might be scaring some of the contestants who might be older, but we just don't know.
Sure.
I'm in the camp that's leaning in.
That's the other piece, and maybe we can get into ratings for Age of Attraction on Netflix. You are either someone, speaking of camps, where this takes you out of it and it's too absurd to watch because it is just so unbelievable, or you lean into the silliness of it. For me, I think this feels like a solid background show while I'm working, where if I watched too closely, I think it would be too frustrating. But having a bit of distance, maybe not always looking at the screen, so I can't see everyone's skin to understand age. That, I think, can help me, because the show itself is entertaining and silly, but sometimes it took me out of it too much to watch again seriously for me to really believe that these people truly do not know how old the other is.
That's fair. I would watch again while eating lunch. It's funny you mentioned watching without looking at the screen, because this reminds me 100% of Love is Blind.
Yeah.
Just swap out physical appearance for age. Not a one-to-one swap, but I'm leaning into it and accepting the absurdity. And maybe if you also make it blind for yourself, you can really dive into this social experiment.
All right, well, why don't you take us from a social experiment to a creepy possible serial killer?
You're talking about Scarpetta on Prime Video. Kay Scarpetta, played by Nicole Kidman, is a brilliant forensic pathologist. And now she is the chief medical examiner for Virginia and has to solve a mystery that ties to her past. So, me too, you love a good case. You love, not in this case a quirky lead, but a quirky family of the lead. Did this hit for you?
Kind of. It was a little dark for me, but what I will say is clearly this show spent $1 fulfillion because we have Nicole Kidman. This is based on a Patricia Cornwall series. We have her making a special appearance in the show. We have Bobby Cannavale as Kay's brother-in-law. We have Ariana DeBose as her niece. We have a very funny combo of comedic actors as the cops supporting the present day case in David Hornsby and Tia Sarkar. And we have Jamie Lee Curtis as her wild and quirky, as you said, sister.
The other Scarpetta.
The other Scarpetta.
And I think no one, to me, stood out too much. I think sometimes when shows do a stacked cast, it distracts from the characters.
Yeah.
But I think they did a good job of leaning into the roles.
I agree. The only thing that kind of took me out of it was I felt like Jamie Lee Curtis's portrayal in this show felt very similar to an episode she did on The Bear, basically playing this same thing, like a lovable family member, but who has erratic behavior that has been something of a burden or difficulty for her children or family members to manage. With that said, I thought that the flashbacks were very interesting. So in the present, we have this very gory mystery for My Fellow Babies. This one's hard to watch. There's just
you see bodies.
A lot of torsos. Like, it's too much, I would say. But in the flashbacks, I like the element of the younger version of Kay, seeing similar cases, understanding the stakes of possibly having like decades of serial killing. And as a light spoiler, maybe this means that she and her brother-in-law did not catch the right guy many years ago. And so I thought that established some really interesting story. I saw Decider say this, and I agree. I kind of was more interested in the flashback. Like, I could have spent more time there.
I like the flashbacks. They were very helpful in learning how everyone's careers got started, how a lot of all of the main cast met each other and were interacting with each other. And I think what I appreciate most, we have this mystery of a serial killer that's spanning a long time period. And a lot of mystery shows, the flashbacks will confuse you. They'll show cryptic scenes or just add layers to the mystery. And I think this was a more helpful flashback than I'm used to. And I'm thankful for that.
I'm also suspicious of the husband in the flashback. So I'm very curious about what that means in the present, like what he could possibly have to do with what's going on, because I don't think they would have portrayed him as suspiciously as they did if he doesn't come into play however many years later. That said, again, there is so much like body horror in this. Well, body horror is a very specific thing, but just a lot of people's bodies and having different parts cut off of them. And there's even a side-by-side autopsy scene where present day K and past K perform an autopsy, basically showing us, really underlining that
right in there.
This is a victim with very similar damage to their body. And yet, woo, like I could have just taken someone saying that. Like, I don't think I needed to see it.
If you want the details, they're there.
The other autopsy we have, again, is some of this family drama. They are exorcising demons at Lucy, her niece's birthday party.
It's two sisters who their love language is arguments.
Yeah.
And you end up with the niece of Kay, daughter of Dorothy, who honestly, her whole situation is its own storyline of her wife and what she's doing now and living at home and who raised her and is that okay? I'm tired for the family.
I felt tired watching this show. Like, I felt tired at the end of that scene, but I thought it was really good. Like, I thought that they didn't overdo it on the family drama. So when I say I'm tired, I just mean I'm spent. Like, I feel like I went through it at the table with them. But I think my favorite scene was actually Nicole Kidman and Jamie Lee Curtis, like when they stepped aside into the kitchen or the bathroom or something like that to fight before Nicole Kidman's character, Kay, is called away to go deal with the case. That scene was delicious to me.
Was it delicious enough for you to watch more episodes of Scarpetta on Prime Video?
This is where I'm going to be super honest in my review.
Please.
And this might resonate with some other babies watching stuff that can't handle too much blood and gore.
Possibly.
I'm very interested in the mystery. I'm very interested in the family drama. This is a fun show. Like, it's not too much thinking. It's just interesting and compelling and watchable in a way that I think we would expect it to be. It's just too much gore. So I think, quite honestly, I will fast forward through those scenes. And that's how I'll be able to watch it again casually.
I feel like that's reasonable. I would also watch again casually because I think the family drama is more interesting than the mystery itself.
Yeah.
I didn't have as much of an issue with the graphic nature of the victims' bodies. I don't know if it added much, so it could be cut and you'd still understand what this serial killer does. But I don't think the mystery hooked me as much as the other character relationships.
Makes sense.
So how about we go from complicated family relationships to complicated work relationships?
You're talking about Vladimir on Netflix when an English professor, M, played by Rachel Weisz, becomes obsessed with a handsome new colleague, Vladimir, played by Leo Woodall. Her already complicated marriage with John, played by John Slattery, and career are thrown into total chaos.
So first thing off, I did not realize an unreliable narrator could take it to a 10 or an 11.
She is so funny. I think the straight to camera narration, which is how this show opens with like, she's talking directly to us at home.
You.
She's like, look, this is a mess. This is going to start a mess. And I think you can anticipate it's going to stay a mess, but I will talk you through it. I think there was a little bit too much of that narration. However, she is so funny that a lot of it did land for me.
There were lots of laughs, and I think it helps because we really need to see how she's feeling, and we hear it directly. And I guess it's realistic. She might not always be thinking the truth, just feeling what's true to her.
And this is a lady who's being put through it. Everyone is blaming her for having an open marriage with her husband. And there is a scandal at the school, and he is caught up in it. And everyone is making it her fault. And she is not the one that done it.
Why is she allowing this to happen? Why is she putting up with this? She teaches women in American fiction. She should not be accepting this behavior. But no one asks, how are you doing?
It made me laugh so hard when another woman professor took her aside and was like, the students were anxious to speak to you about this issue. And she was like, do you mean they were anxious to speak to me, or they were anxious speaking after me? And it just really cracked me up that she was like, girl, what are you talking about? And I appreciate the narration from that perspective because it just continues to emphasize how absurd all of this is. Even her daughter is blaming her.
Her daughter took it what seemed too far. We don't know the history there, but a lot of blame went on the wrong parent, in my opinion.
I agree. And if I were paying that daughter's student loans, we'd have to have a conversation before I resume.
Especially because M's the only one getting paid now, so she gets to decide the finances.
I think she's the keeper of the purse.
And speaking of the absurd element, the title of our show, Vladimir, Leo Woodall's character, doesn't actually have to do much. A lot of this is M and her moments looking at him, moments thinking about him. And it's interesting to see how that's going to build and what their relationship will actually be like.
Yes, it feels like there's a bit of a flirtation when they meet. However, for the most part, I love that this show did a slow build where we know from the premise, from the description, that she will become obsessed with him. But we don't see them together that much. It's just that they've done such a good job in this first episode showing all the different ways that this woman is just being ripped apart by what's happening and blamed and just picked and picked and picked at, that it seems like he just happens to be there a couple times when she's at especially vulnerable moments. Like she has to go to a faculty meeting that's really awkward and he's like nice to her. And that already is a little bit enough. And she runs into him at like the grocery store and there's just a couple moments here and there where she just has these bad moments and he genuinely is just a human body there. And I like that that is the start of the obsession because it shows that he could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Like literally anybody, any alive person.
He was just the spark that started the fire.
Exactly.
So, now that that fire has started, will you watch more episodes of Vladimir on Netflix to see where this obsession may go?
Yes, this is a mini series, so I feel like for Dramedy Hive, we'll have to tap in. Half-hour episode. What a beautiful surprise that it was under 30 minutes. Like, really loved that. So I will be sad, and I'm going to see this through. I want to see what this lady does. She's fun. What about you?
That's perfect because I don't think I will watch much, but I am really curious about the story. So let's go with the classic rating. Will ask me to about the show when she's finished watching it all. And I think I'll get all the great highlights because you're a great friend.
Well, why don't you take us to another show about the importance of friendship?
You're talking about Imperfect Women on Apple TV. This story follows a trio of friends, Kate Mara's Nancy, Elizabeth Moss's Mary, and Kerry Washington's Eleanor, as they end up involved in a deep mystery after the murder of someone, and dark secrets become uncovered in all of their lives. So, me too, what did you think of this friendship mystery?
This show is so messy and so juicy and so creepy, and that was my first impression. I feel like we dropped right into a friendship secret happening when the three of them meet. Only two of them talk about something and they kind of keep it from the other. And we have one of the friends, Eleanor, doing a lot of covering for her friends. And so I think that they're very embedded, but I like the mess of everyone not having complete information on the other of this trio.
Yes, that is the most interesting and probably realistic part of this friendship trio, in that, you know, there's a murder, happens right in the beginning.
Yeah.
And we find out that these friends have been keeping secrets for each other within this friend group, and not everyone knows everything. And what are the consequences if Eleanor knows something that Mary doesn't, or Mary knows something that Eleanor doesn't, or Nancy is not telling anyone something else? And now, drama.
Also, to get into the mystery of the murder, not saying who done it, but I will say every single person around them, very suspicious. And I think that is fun, where I don't think they overdid it, where there's like 20 possible people that could have done it or whatever that looks like. I like that we have a couple clear front runners, and I like that they're very close to the victim. And it feels like a fair mystery setup where you're like, okay, it's this person, or maybe someone from left field.
But can we also mention that Eleanor's doing too much?
Yes.
Whatever she may know or may not know, she's still putting in too much energy for people who don't deserve it.
She's at beck and call for Nancy. She's at beck and call for Nancy's family, for Nancy's husband, for Mary's family. Mary smokes a cigarette, doesn't want her family to see it. It ends up in Eleanor's hand so that she can hold it, so her family, when they walk up, they don't see Mary with the cigarette. Now her family is judging Eleanor for holding the cigarette. Whoa. When Mary's husband said, just because smoking is bad, it doesn't make Eleanor a bad person, I almost stood up. I said, what the hell is going on? Why is this lady, like, is she on retainer for any of these people? And then I think the one miss of the first episode is I wish we got to know Eleanor. We dove into the mystery a bit. We learned more about Nancy. We learned more about Mary. We didn't really learn much about Eleanor beyond the fact that she's having an affair with her colleague, really young hottie played by Rome Flynn.
Yes, her personal life remains a mystery. We get hints that there's more going on, but she prioritizes Mary and Nancy so much. We don't even really see her at work because she keeps telling her coworkers, I got to go meet my friends. I got to go do something else for my friends. And it's like, what about your life, Eleanor?
There's a moment where not her friends, not the friends' spouses, not any grown-ups or bigger grown-ups around her are saying it. Her little hot young thing at the office said, who's taking care of you? And that felt like the one moment in this whole episode that someone was like, who's taking care of Eleanor?
No one. That's the answer.
And I don't like that. But I am, as you know, always invested in messy shows about female friendship.
And this one, messy, creepy, mysterious, frustrating, but entertaining.
And a 40-minute pilot.
Not too long. We'll see where the rest of the season goes. Will you watch the rest of the season of Imperfect Women on Apple TV?
I will. I'll watch again casually. Would I say this show is excellent? No. But it's fun and juicy and very watchable. It's similar to Scarpetta, where you have a stacked cast, you have people who know how to perform drama. So it's fun. I think this show is designed to be fun. This was not designed to be a for your consideration, or at least I don't think. What about you?
I don't think it's a for your consideration. I liked it more than Scarpetta, so I would watch this again casually.
Yeah.
Probably helps that it's not gory or graphic. And it seems like there's a lot of layers in this friendship and a lot of secrets. And we get hints of some at the end and hints that some people just don't care about optics. And that makes it more entertaining.
All right. So how far would you go for friendship?
For you, I'd go the distance.
Wow. Ditto. Where can people find more episodes of the Pilot Podcast? I'm stopping it right there because that was a perfect answer. It was very Lisa Barlow coded. You don't even know what that means. and we could just move
Yeah, I'm
on.
confused. But you can head to our website at thepilotpodcast.com, and you can follow us on all your favorite podcast platforms.
You can also follow us on social media at The Pilot Pod, and you can send thoughts, feelings, show recommendations, because every other week we do a show recommended by you, our wonderful listeners, to askthepilotpodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
Bye.